the southern sun. Rubber burns and the race has begun. Enters Racing League, the speed is our creed. Fuel the fire, we're born to lead. Lights go green and the world's a blur. Chasing glory, feel the engine purr. Wheels keep spinning, hearts on fire. Chasing the thrill, climbing higher and higher. We are the speed, we are the light. Enters Racing League, tearing through the night. Circuit kings with a need for pace. This is our time, this is our race. Racing lights. From Melbourne skies to Perth's dry heat, the asphalt sings beneath our feet. Every corner, every turn we own. Enters Racing League is home. No brakes, no fear, we own this track. Push the limit, no turning back. Faster, stronger, we're breaking through. Enters Racing League, it's what we do. We are the speed, we are the light. Enters Racing League, tearing through the night. Circuit kings with a need for pace. This is our time, this is our race. Enter my
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Enters Racing League action on your Saturday afternoon. We have another preseason race to bring you, and it is at Imola. So we are in the Italian countryside for another preseason race. Should be a bit of an interesting one. Curbs are a little bit nicer on this game with the Imola circuit, and a little bit nicer to drive. I don't think the track limits will absolutely kill anybody as well. So we'll see how the guys go. 50% race distance for Antia this afternoon. Looking to be nearly a full grid once again. Had a bit of a banger last night around Zandvoort. Some nice battles, especially we had a nice battle for the final place on the podium. Broadstar being able to get on that. Just had a cash mash. Bompton was in there at some point. Sethimon as well. Bazilla was your race winner from last night, just ahead of Ashton, who actually did just drop back a little bit to help his teammate claim that double podium for Sauber. But it should be a good one. Got a few of those boys that raced last night racing this evening, so should be a good one. So we've got a few more drivers that we're waiting for that will get the green flag. So obviously we'll have a bit of a chat about the calendar that's coming up. So Singapore is tomorrow afternoon's pre-season race that will round off week 2 of pre-season. Then we have next week Silverstone Reverse, Monaco and Hungary as our 3 tracks. And then on that Sunday night, the driver sign-ups close. So if you haven't got your sign-ups done, in and done, make sure to get them in. So to get your name on the list before we hit draft night on the 6th of July. So not too far away now. And then obviously lottery night is next Sunday as well. So TPs, they'll find out what picks they have in the 3 individual tiers. So same system at lottery night as the last past season. So should be a good one. So as we have a look, so quickly look at our race results from last night. As I said, Zilla in the Aston Martin, fantastic drive, 10-second clear of the two Sauber boys. Ashton, the TP of Sauber, looking good. Broadstar right beside him. Cashmash, Ethem on Bompton. Junkyard Dog was finished on the road in P2. Problem is he picked up a 10-second time penalty for speeding in pit lane. So unfortunately dropped him back down to 7th, but Junkyard was looking good, especially after an early tangle as well. Mertz in P8, good recovery drive from him. Sam in P9, Broken Reptile was our final finisher. Toys and Big C, they were AI, unfortunately, couldn't get back into the lobby, so they'd be in class as a DNF. Pugsy, we lost him mid part of the race. Dark and Shadows had a pretty awful race, to be fair, so we'll hope better for this evening. Dark and Shadows is in the lobby this afternoon. Fat Eagle, lost him early on, and Mash Jr., both Red Bull cars, having a shocker. Mash retiring after 8 laps, that was, so. But it was a good race. A few battles there. We'll have a look at our track details for Imola this afternoon. 19 corners around this 4.909 kilometre circuit. Lap record is a 1:15.484 by Lewis Hamilton in 2020. We'll have 32 laps, which is tough, which is the 50% race distance. The tyres is the soft C6, the medium C5, and the hard C4, so the softest of the Pirelli range. Obviously, with the new game, tyre wear, obviously fairly different, and we saw a couple of times last night that just a couple of guys just not quite gotten used to the tyre wear. Ashton was one in particular that, especially towards the end of his stints, really struggling with their tyre wear, so something that they'll have to be a little bit mindful of. As you can see, traction, asphalt grip, abrasion, evolution, all down at a 2. Tyre stress is mid-range, same as braking. Obviously, big part would be towards turn 2, the first chicane. At Toaster at turn 7 is another hard braking point. And then obviously the last couple of corners as well. A bit of a harder braking point, but you don't really see a lot of moves down there. Need a bit of downforce, especially with the 3 separate chicanes. You do need some high speed down that long start-finish straight. And only the one DRS zone, which is down that start-finish straight. But we have, I believe, got the green flag, so I think it's about time we get into it. Let's get into the pre-season race at Imola. As we just load into the session, looks like I think we got about 18 drivers on the grid at the moment. So just loading in. So a couple of names we haven't seen quite yet. I think Kai's on his 3rd day. So interesting to see how much he's got back up to speed. Hopefully Big Chris won't have any lobby issues, so he can stay and we can see what he can provide. Toddy, I know he's having a couple of issues with his pedals, so hopefully that doesn't cause any issues for him. Broseph is in the lobby. Battle Cat, he's a little bit sickly. He's the cat, but he's managed to grab a seat, so we'll see what they can do this evening. As we've loaded up, I believe it's set to dry conditions, so no chance of any rain. So as we get set, wait for the guys to put setups on. Be curious to see how high people do run with the wings. Might see a couple of setups. Maybe a bit lower. Maybe in the low 30s. People are sort of being a little bit terroristic in terms of wings, and then obviously the guys potentially low to mid 40s, I'd imagine. So as Yusuf's now joined the lobby, so I reckon all other 18 names, once they see Yusuf join, they're probably not real thrilled about that, but got them in anyway. So as we just get set for the guys to come out, it's going to be our podium getter from last night, Ashton. who is on track first. We'll get everything up. That one off. So we got Ashton and Big Chris, so we'll wait for them to come around to begin their first flying lap. So as we watch Ashton coming around the final corner, did he just got an invalidation? Hopefully it wasn't at this in the next lap, and it was. So Ashton couldn't even begin his first flying lap. So I believe he just cut that last corner a little bit too much on the inside, and that is their first lap invalidated. But if they've got enough fuel, they'll go around again. So we'll stick on board with Big Chris. Coming through turns 2, 3, and turn 4 now. As we come up to Variante Villeneuve 5 and 6. And then the left-hander of Tosa. Easily, you can see a move down the inside. Important not to get wide out of 7. Flat out of 8, and now turn 9. So gravel is a lot closer to the circuit on this game. Coming down the hill, Acra Minerale is 11, 12 and 13. So clean within the lines is Big Chris. Now we got Variante Alta, the third chicane, 14 and 15. So purple in the middle sector. So it will be the first driver to finish a flying lap. Coming down the hill, Ravazza, 17 and 18. Got to get a nice clean exit out of here. Again, within the white lines. Little kink at 19 to then hit the start-finish line. And Big Chris goes a 15.820 to begin our qualifying. 14 and a half minutes left to go. So Broadstar's on a lap. So Prosperic Bear's invalidated. Ashton's going around again as I thought. How's letter P going? This is a valid lap for P. Coming to the line now. It is a 15.8 as well. About 700ths off of pole, but he did go purple in the final sector. Junkyard Doggy. As Saucity goes a 15.2, 8/10 clear. So he gets out of the way. Broadstar. Podium for him last night. So we'll have 2 corners left to go. On board with Sauber. Oh, he was a little bit wide. You could hear the lift. So it's not going to be the greatest run to the line. Broadstar still goes quickest, 15.099. So probably has a little bit more time, especially out of the last corner. It looked like he went a little bit deep. Junkyard goes to 21, but that's obviously not a complete flyer. How's that? Red Bull, I believe. That's invalidated from Toddy. I think the Aston Martin's got to be next. Where are you, Aston Martin? That's Cole on an outlap. Broseph coming out of the third chicane now. In the Williams this evening. So round 17, 18 as well. And I think Brose has been at 45 off, so that's definitely, he's got at least a time on the board. As Websy has a big moment. Does he keep it out of the wall? Somehow he does. So I don't know whether he just got pulled off by the car in front, but Websy very lucky not to take a wing or a wheel off. So he survived that. Mash, who had a shocker last night, invalidated their first run as Yusuf goes provisional pole on a 14.9. But he's only a 10th clear up front as Darkened Shadows. Pole Man last night goes to the top on a 14.3. Yusuf definitely has more time in that. Yeah, I have a feeling. As Kaio, oh, a little bit of lag my end. So we know how pacey Kaio was last game, but it's only day 3 for him on this game. Got it a little bit later. Oh, that was very close to having all 4 wheels outside the white line. Nice corner. 4.18. Kaio crosses the line, goes into the top 6 on a 15.5. Our race winner from last night. Just a 10th off. Down in P7, Zilla. Websy coming in after his very close near miss. Mash. He is invalidated again. How about Sevi? Around turn 9. And then coming through Acromillerale. You can see all the dirt and the gravel on the left-hand side. Gotten rid of a lot of the runoff. So if you make a mistake, you are going to travel. You're going to travel onto the gravel, especially at this chicane as well. So it's not only just getting the track limit warnings, it will definitely slow you down. Sevi. Nice out of 17. Nice out of 18, barely. Flat out Kinker 19 before the start finish line. Sevi 19.4. So it was a bit of a slower lap, at least a lap time on the board. Fraser Clegg, hopefully I'm pronouncing your second name right. On the medium though, purple in the middle sector. Might be just his purple middle. The first lap time for him. Broken Reptile is in as well, so we do have all 20 cars and all 20 slots filled. So full grid, which is very good to see. Alpine goes onto the front row provisionally, 14.6. Nice lap time from the Alpine driver. Toddy is slow out of the third chicane. Battle Cat has invalidated. Shane Van Gisbergen. I believe there's only one Shane Van Gisbergen, so hopefully if anyone knows in chat, could let me know who that actually is. Because it would be nice to know. As we can sort of see, he's having a bit of a, whoever it is, it's having a bit of a shocker. So I might be able to tell. As we'll keep riding, actually we'll follow somebody else. Once as we can see the Alpine just sort of travel the gravel. Big Chris is starting their next lap. Where you Broadstar, you've backed off. That was a nice lap from Fraser, especially on the mediums. Only been 3/10 off. I'd imagine they'll be coming straight back in. It's both Alpines, so do we have actually... Actually, it's telling me Finn's is number 2, but I'll double check that. And then the other Alpine, where are they? 14. Yeah, they're not coming up with anything, so I'll find out the actual proper names though. So, how is Saucity going? 10th up at the moment through the first sector. On board through turn 9, that's an invalidation. Had traffic as well. Oh, is that? I think that was a little bit of frustration, sort of with the McLarens. So playing a little bit of silly buggers here, a little bit. Just got to be careful. Is that out? Is that Sauber on a lap? Thankfully not. I think that Ashton will be too impressed with the little bit of a car park that we had down at 14 and 15. Prosperic Bear about half a second up currently on a 17.2 at the moment. As Websy goes first driver into the 13s, 13.7, so nice clear lap that he got. And miles ahead of the rest of the field at the moment, but definitely plenty of time left to go in the session. Prosperic Bear finds half a second, goes 15th on a 16.6. Mash is flying, but travels the gravel. Didn't get invalidated, but definitely going to be a slow lap. So, not having the best of runs is Mash. Junkyard's on a bit of a fly, same as Ashton. So, all three of these drivers will be crossing the line shortly. He's backed off, so he must have made a mistake on his next flyer. Chris is coming into the pit lane. Kyo, I think he's just travelled the gravel, as you can see on these left side tyres. Zilla in 7th, so we'll head back to the Junkyard Ashton. I would say little fight. Well, Junkyard's not going to be quicker. Ashton 3 laps on these softs. Big slide off 17. And he comes in. Broseff's gone again. We'll head back to the other Aston note. They're coming in. Kyo, that is a slow lap. P, how's his next run? So he obviously backed off early. A little correction through 11. Now at Variante Alta. Up by about 0.3 of a second, which will move him up a couple of spots. If you can find another 10th or 2, could get into that P6, P7 battle. On board with the RB. Within the white line, so P goes from P11 up to P8, ahead of his teammate and Toddy. How's Fraser going on the soft compounder tyres and up by 1/10 and a half. So needs 9/10 to get to Webbsy's time. If he can find 3/10, they'll jump him onto the front row. So up by 4/10 of a second. Does he have time in the last sector? I don't know if he's got half a second though. Smooth through 17. Smoothish through 18. You get a little bit of a toe to the line. Where can Fraser put it? Found a slight bit of time in the final sector, but does still move up onto the front row at 14.1. Use is coming out now. Broadstar's invalidated. How's P going? This is P. Be a slow lap. I'll just wait till he comes to the second sector line. Positive it's slow. Yes, it is. Broseph. Yeah, that's going to be in lap for him. Sevi. I think he might have had a moment out of Tosa. And it's going to be a slow lap, so obviously 4 minutes left to go in the session. So we're just waiting for our final drivers, and Sevi, yeah, puts the nail in the coffin in terms of that lap invalidation. But thank you guys for joining us this Saturday afternoon. So we've got 3.5 minutes left. Webbsy currently leading by 4/10 over Fraser in the Alpine. Got Dark and Shadows, who set the early running. Yusuf as well, probably hasn't put in a real flyer of a lap at the moment. I feel like Yusuf's got the pace of Webbsy. So what we might do, I think we're going to follow Yusuf through potentially their last final flying lap. 3 minutes left to go on the clock as we follow the Haas driver down the start-finish straight. A long straight, going to be a long run down to turns 2 and 3. On board, Yusuf, left, then right, then goes back to the left, turn 4. Solid speed for Yusuf. Oh, he's sliding the car through 5 and 6, but it looks good. He's up by 4/10 of a second through Tosa now. Smooth through there. Ferrari getting out of the way. Up the top of the hill, turn 8, and now turn 9. Trying to cut the inside as much as he can. Goes downhill around Acromillerale now. 11-12, but he was wide, and that is an invalidation. It was flying Yusuf, and even with him backing off, after turns 13. It was still a 10th up, so he would have been miles up on his delta if he had just gone that slight bit wide. Problem is, does he have the battery to go again? Minute 58 left on the clock. As we have everybody pretty much now out. Dark and Shadows must have made a little bit of a mistake. So they're slow. Websy thinks the 13.7 is enough. And Yusuf comes in, so I think Yusuf making that mistake. I think Websy potentially feels comfortable. Saucity coming down the hill. Turn 17, now turn 18. Within track limits, can Saucity move up from the third row? Crosses the line, moves up to the second row, finds half a second, 14.7. So nice lap from Saucity, out qualifies Yusuf. As we've got the Ferrari, Big Chris about to start their lap. Ashton's just begun theirs. Battle Cat is slow on this particular run. So I think it potentially will be Broken Reptile that will be closest ahead or furthest through the lap. So up the hill now. Up by nearly a second. As we come through the third chicane. So looking good for Broken Reptile. If he improves by a second, he'll jump up a couple of spots, but he's got time in the last sector. Could find himself a low 16. Smooth through 18. 25 seconds left on the clock. Broken Reptile comes across the line. 1.1 seconds. Doesn't start last. Up into 16th. So Ashton has invalidated. Big Chris is still going. Zilla has aborted. Broadstar's invalidated. And Yusuf is disqualified. So he's going to be starting from the back. Kaio starting their lap now. Big Chris. Can they move up from 10th? They can jump a spot up to 9th. 15.4. How about Junkyard? Half a second up. They look good, especially in the race towards the end last night. Junkyard from 13th. Can they get inside the 10? No, they just miss out by 10th. Toddy goes into P9. What about his teammate Letter P? He's up by a couple of tenths. You got a McLaren spinning, thankfully ghosted. So Letter P from 8th. They jump up into P7. Kaio Saucity's out. Dark and Shadows, I think, out as well. Fraser Clegg. He's equal on his time. Ashton Battlecat, they finish their lap. Prosperi Bear Broseph as well. So we're waiting on a couple of drivers. Broken Reptile stays 16th. Round the final corner. Can we get a change for pole? He finds 2 10s, but it's not enough. And I think that will do us for everybody else. Sevy's backed off. So it's going to be Websy on pole position for the pre-season race here at Imola. Fraser Clegg in P2. Great lap at the end. Dark and Shadows in P3. Saucity, nice lap at the end as well. P4. Kyra in P5. Broadstar in P6. Letter P in 7th. Zilla in P8. Toddy in 9th. And Big Chris JT rounds out our 10. Junkyard in 11th. Ashton in 12th. Battlecat in 13th. Prosperic Bear in 14th. Broseph in 15th. Broken Reptile in 16th. Shane Van Giersbergen, which can't quite know who that actually is. Might be Finns or Josh. I've got to double check that in P17. Sevi in 18. Mash in 19th, and Yusuf was, I think, initially going to start P5. He's disqualified himself, so he'll start from the rear of the grid. So we'll see what he can do from the back. Obviously, Yusuf making that mistake on his last run, just slightly going wide. Going up Acromillerale, obviously stopped him from any chance of trying to fight Websy for pole. But that is your session done. Here, another quick look at your results. So Websy, Fraser, Dark and Shadows in P3, Saucity in P4, Kyo in P5. So shout out to Kyo. 1.2 seconds off, but we know how how great Websy is. Fraser as well, right up there. Broseph, P, Zilla, Toddy, Chris, as I said before, outside the 10. And then scrolling all the way down, Mash and Yusuf will start on the final row of the grid for this afternoon's race. Yeah, I thought there might have been a chance, Finns, if that was you, if you were Fraser. I sort of had a feeling, just sort of what Finn sort of was. So, and I figured if Fraser was you, I figured Josh was going to be SVG. So at least I thankfully now know who I'm actually meant to call. So it definitely helps. But thankfully you two also aren't actually together if you did have the same name. So. But thank you for the big thank you for the clarification as we wait for the tyre strategies. So I am curious to see what the tyre wear is around here. So just waiting for any last minute setups with the setup changes with the front wings. So you're going to have some quick guys coming through the field. You're going to have some guys just trying to maybe hang on to their position changes or their positions that they qualified in. As we should be close to that timer. As we do have lights on. We got 5 red lights. It's Websy and Fraser. And we are underway, and it looked like a better start for Websy. Fraser gets in the slipstream as we come down towards turn number 2. Websy goes defensive, but easily through turns 3 and now 4 in the lead. As does Fraser have a bit of a crack here? No, we'll sit back. Obviously, dirty air, heavy fuel, as you can see. Kyo obviously getting used to the dirty air on this game. Goes wide at 6 and turn 7 at Toaster, having to defend from Broadstar. Saucity up into P4. And you got a couple of guys at the back. They're a little bit wide. Out of turn 7, coming through turn 9 now. And it's Websy with half-second lead overall. It's been a fairly clean start from the majority of the field. As you can see, Broadstar having a little look at Kyo. Nothing doing. Do we see any moves potentially here? That looked like it was a bit of a collision, but might have just been a bit of a graphical glitch. As Broseph's down in last, as you can see the possible tyre strategies there. So 2 stop the game's recommending, as Yusuf's already from P20 on the grid. He's up into P13, absolutely flying on this first lap, and he has Josh in front of him as Toddy and Chris swapping positions. You can see the lead is coming through as Big Chris. He's fighting both RBs. Toddy, no, sorry, that's P. He's keeping ahead, and Chris, he got on the curb, I believe, out of 3. And Junkyard Doggy down the inside. No, he backed out at the last minute. So plenty happening in the midfield. They've managed to all sort themselves out. No one's boxed lap 1. And it doesn't look like anyone's got any wing damage, thankfully. And those that are sharing. We come around turn 9 with Yusuf really flying. Does he going to send the nose? I did he was going to send it. He holds off. Coming up the hill towards the 3rd chicane. Does he have a cheeky look? No. He'll try and open up the corner to give himself better speed, but nowhere to go. Nice fight. Sevi already a 3-second time penalty as Yusuf is putting on the burners. He's got to go down the inside. There might have been a little bit of contact as Junkyard nearly forced off the road. But thankfully stays all 4. Problem is he's now going to be a little bit vulnerable to Shane Van Gisbergen or Josh behind. The RS enabled will quickly head back up to the front because Broadstar going around the outside. Thankfully he got it slowed down in time, but Kyo will have a better exit through 4, as well as Toddy as well on board as they sort themselves out. Remember the issues Toddy and Kyo had here last season as well, so having these two on track together at this particular track, hopefully we don't see the shenanigans that we saw last season. I'm going to keep a bit of an eye on that. Kai currently leading that little battle, but Toddy doing good in P7, letter P about 7/10 behind. Top four have broken a little bit. They're about 1.7 seconds ahead of Broadstar, who did get past Kai on that last lap, so we'll see if Broadstar's got pace. We've got a yellow flag, we've got a virtual safety car because Sevy's in the wall. So he's at a moment at turn 9, and just as he tries to recorrect it, unfortunately he's made contact with the wall again. That virtual safety car will upgrade to a full safety car. Sevy, first retirement of the race. And do we see any takers for a free pit stop here? I don't believe we will. Yes, we will. Leaders in. So Webbsy in, Fraser in, Dark and Shadows in. So everybody making the opportunity to stop. Letter Peace is going to be one of the only ones to stay out. Ashton is as well. Big Chris is. Ties for everybody. So you had a lot. So you must have had most guys on the medium tyres. That's my apologies for not having the tyres up straight away. So P8 and up have stayed out. P9 and down, they've come in to make a pit stop. So a lot of them started, I'd imagine, on the medium tyres. And you've got everybody else. Junkyard's gone to a set of mediums. But surely with the way this tyre wear is on this game, surely you can't make the tyres go, what are we going, 27, 28 laps? Surely not. So they're obviously thinking about getting at least one of the pit stops out of the way. I could be wrong. It could probably get hard to the end, but just sort of the knowledge that at least I've got with sort of tyre wear, especially how sort of I burn tyre wear around a few of these tracks that I've noticed, I certainly wouldn't be able to get tyres all the way home. So Webbsy, effective race leader, you could suggest, down in P9. So Brosa, Prospero, Mash, Battle Cat, Zilla, Big Chris, Ashton and Letter P have not stopped. Ashton and Zilla obviously most certainly weren't going to stop. Zilla obviously doing the same alternate strategy that they did last night, starting on the hard compounded tyre. Obviously they got a very nicely timed safety car last night to chuck themselves on the mediums with about 13 laps to go. You got Webbsy and Fraser swapping positions. They've sorted themselves out. Mash is in. So we call that Mash has come in now. I figured he would have actually come in before then, but he's going to drop to the back of the field then. He chucks on a set of hard compounded tyres and is at the back. So we've got top 7 now with the old tyres from the start. So his letter P leads. Penalties, Mashes a 3-second penalty. So that sort of hurt them last race. I think I saw them in, and unfortunately they've done that again. But your pit stop, your position changes. Apologies. You can obviously see the 7 that haven't stopped moved up big time, and everybody that has made a stop down a fair few. Yusuf's the only one that's made a pit stop that has actually gained position. So you can tell Yusuf. Effectively P9 actually. So Yusuf's actually made ground. Obviously he did get past Junkyard before that safety car came out. Problem is Junkyard obviously got back past him. Yusuf must have been held potentially by his teammate. Not Battle Cat because he stayed out. So maybe just got held due to traffic. So we come around third chicane. Safety car is in. I was wondering if it was going to come in very shortly. It is. So as Ashton... Oh, what's Ashton doing? On the grass he goes. So, I don't know if he's had a big moment out of the chicane, but you wouldn't really want to be doing that. We're back to the tyres. So, let it be 4 laps mediums compared to 4 laps hards. So, P should have the advantage off the restart. He'll have complete control. You can see Webbsy looking to try and get a big jump on Brosa if you can. As there's a little bit of contact between the two. Got to be careful, Ashton. You don't want to pick up a silly penalty under safety car. And Letter P, I believe, has gone now. Problem is, Ashton's followed. Big Chris is the one that's really struggled off the restart. Back underway, lap 6 of 32. Ashton going to look around the outside. Potentially, no, he switches to the inside, switches back to the outside. P defending that nicely. Gross's down a couple of spots. As we'll head back to Websy, who's I think was nearly on the gravel. As he's trying to fight his way, as Fraser actually gotten past. So Fraser Shipper, your effective race leader. Or the ones that have made a first pit stop. So Fraser's taken advantage ahead of Websy. You got Shane and Junkyard at the back. I think Junkyard potentially had a little bit of a slow restart. I don't think he was that far down. Broken Reptiles had a moment out of toss-up as you got Toddy and Broseph. So Broseff's in the gravel and he's going to lose a whole bunch of positions. Obviously, he's just going to be a little bit wider. Try and just be careful not to retake as he's finally done that. Hopefully that's not a technical issue. But he'll take his time getting back up to speed as Websy now gets past the Battle Cat out of Variante Alta, the third chicane. And looking at Darkened Shadows to follow Websy through. Battle Cat dropping a couple of spots. And now he's under real pressure from Saucity behind. Saucity will want to try and keep with our three leaders as already nearly getting the overlap. No DRS as of yet, but we're nearly there. Prosperic Bear right on the back of the Alpine. Can't go for the move. And Websy's sitting right there as well as we're side by side between Battle Cat and Saucity. Saucity got the nose up the inside. Battle Cat's got to be left hanging on the outside as Broadstar makes his move. Fraser gets past Chris. Websy gets past Prosperic Bear. Broseph has retired and is in pit lane, so not sure if he had to leave. But that is our second retirement of the evening. As we come up the hill towards turn 9, you've got to have Prosperic Bear on the outside. Broadstar looking to the inside. Problem is, no, he does get the job done. I thought he might have been off. Saucy's down to 17. He's had a big moment. Battle Cat is under all sorts of pressure as he lets his teammate by. He lets Junkyard by, and Mash close behind as Junkyard got sideways. But has recovered, so a bit of a hectic restart. Ashton on P. Should have DRS this lap, 0.4 of a second. So will Ashton take the race lead coming into turns 2 and 3? You can see the big overspeed. Letter P covers to the inside. Little bit of contact, but Ashton does get the job done as Fraser gets the move on Zilla. So Fraser up inside the top 3. Absolutely flying. Websy's not too far behind. Websy will want to clear the Aston Martin as soon as possible. Carrying good speed. That's wide from the Aston Martin, and he spins into Websy. Thankfully, Websy avoids him somehow. As unfortunately, Zilla into the wall. You can just see him, he just runs too wide out of turn 6 onto the gravel, spins. Thankfully, doesn't collect Websy as we do remain under green flag conditions, but that drops the Aston Martin all the way to the back. Websy gets a lucky break, but he's dropped 2 seconds to Fraser, who he's fighting, and has now caught the 2 leaders out in front. So on board with the Alpine. There's been great battling so far. As we ride with Fraser. So we can see the 2 leaders. Fraser gets a nice run. So do we see a double overtake? He's already going to be side by side with Letter P before, or just as they cross the start-finish line. So Ashton with no DRS, as we see Ashton cover to the inside. He's probably going to drop 2 positions, and he does. Letter P gets the move done. But Fraser Clegg gets the race lead back. Remember, he's going to go a long way, but he is now back in the race lead, so he can make a second stop if he needs to. Shane up into the top 7, or Josh, I should say, Ant WRC, whatever username you do want to call him, but he's up into P7. He's driving nicely, gets ahead of Big Chris as you got side by side between Yusuf and Toddy. Yusuf made his way nicely through the field after making that early stop. As we're going to have slight contact, and Yusuf forces Chris off the road. Chris got to be careful with the rejoin. Unfortunately, he wasn't. That's front wing damage for Saucity. He's having a shocker of a restart. Saucy, damage on both sides of his wing. That's going to have to be a pit lane entry for Saucy to get that fixed, because he's going to have no downforce at the front whatsoever. So Yusuf, he tried something bold at turn 9. That wasn't the play, unfortunately. And that is, unfortunately, Yusuf with front wing damage as well. You can see on the left-hand side, Saucy's down to P16. Obviously, you had to be really slow through this section of corners. Not the way you wanted to do it, as we've got the Sauber and the RB contact. Websy sort of right there as well, as Websy gets forced off the track now. Clearly, the guys just aren't quite using their mirrors. And ultra aggressive. Letter P holds on to P2, Ashton in P3. Websy picks up a 3-second time penalty as he nearly thinks about a large dive bomb on Ashton. That was never going to be the play. And does Websy have front wing damage? I think he now does. He's not sharing. Do we see end plate damage? Yes, we do. Right hand side end plate damage on the Williams. As all this happens, Fraser loving life up front as you got the outpainting of Shane Gisbergen around. Josh. He's onto the grass, so again, potentially side by side through 9, and that's got to drive a wide as P, 10-second time penalty. So carnage between these three. So has Websy potentially had a bit of contact, as P's going to still try and fight it as he really shuffles. Oh, is that slight contact? So I think Websy's just moved across the line into letter P traveling the gravel. So these guys, they just not quite following the rule book. So whatever's happened at the start of the lap that we cut to, clearly there was just a little bit of agitation, and it's just played on from there. As you got both McLarens trying to get past letter P. You've got Mash around the outside of letter P. Letter P can't stick the nose in there. Mash just barely got the car stopped in time, as we've got Yusuf on Toddy trying to find his way through, but Fraser's a 6-second lead, as that was a little wide from Yusuf. Mash nearly thinking about the move at turn 7, thought better of it. So plenty happening, plenty of battles as well. Websy's got onto the back of Dark and Shadows. Zilia obviously has had to make a stop for the medium tyres, and they are flying currently P18. So Websy on board. So quick look at penalties. 3 seconds for Websy, 6 seconds for Mash, 10-second corner cutting penalty for letter P. And I'm not sure if he sort of got hit from behind to sort of force him wide. As we ride on board with P. Obviously that little bit of front wing damage won't be helping him through this corner, but he should be close enough to be able to use a bit of DRS, bit of ERS to be able to get the move on Dark and Shadows. Dark and Shadows goes defensive. Problem is, it was never going to be enough. So Websy back up into P2. Broadstar and Kaya having a nice battle. Kaya having a bit of a slide, and did Toddy just slightly touch the rear as Yusuf comes into pit lane and retires. As we're going to ride on board with Toddy. Through 7 now. So this little chat, the potential pre-season chat in Discord might be going off a little bit at the end of this race. Saucy picks up a fastest lap in 16th, obviously coming in for new tyres as well. As Toddy looking to get the move on Kayako, he's just barely hanging on to the rear of Broadstar, but he was a little slow through Variete Alta. But I think he'll just manage to have the margin. It'll be about 8/10. So we'll head back, because both Saubers, P4, P5. So again, these two very close on track. And Ashton giving his teammates some DRS. Do we see a position swap for both Saubers? No, we won't. As you got Toddy down the inside, pulls it off. Nice move from Toddy over Kaio. So Kaio, I think, will just settle down, sit back behind Toddy, and maybe Toddy got a bit more pace. Maybe try and close them up to Broadstar and Ashton. Mash with the 3-second time penalty. And I believe 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th are all actually in a party chat together, so I don't think there'll be any sort of silly buggers or anything like that. But yeah, it was nice to see Toddy and Kai actually sort of put some clean moves ahead after sort of what happened at the end of last season here at Inters. So nice work from Toddy, and he's actually gapped Kai quite a bit. So I think Kai, obviously only his 3rd day on the game, I think he's now starting to sort of experience the tyre wear, and he just hasn't got quite to grips with it as of yet. He's still doing a nice job in P7. And meanwhile, we head back up to the front. We haven't seen much of Fraser at the moment. He starts lap 14, and he's got an 8-second lead. Loving life out front. Websy with the front wing damage, currently in P2 with the 3-second penalty. He's broken Darkened Shadows, he's just running in P3. As you see, Ashton, Broadstar, and it could be Toddy. Toddy, I think Ashton just trying to get a bit of a slipstream and unable to get the move done was Toddy. As Josh picks up a 3-second time penalty further down. As you got to spin. P off into the gravel again. So moment through 4. Not sure if he was with anybody or if that was just a moment on his own. Just got to be careful about the rejoin. Yes, that was good. So both Ferraris and Battle Cat moving up a spot because of it. So lap 14, everyone apart from Ashton has made 1 pit stop. As Saucity has retired in pit lane, we're down to 16. We only had 1 safety car at the moment. On board with Toddy. So I'm just wondering if Broadstar's helping Ashton, or I think Broadstar might actually just start getting off into the distance. But Ashton's got to go at least, I'd say at least another 6 laps to sort of make the medium tyre at the end viable. And I don't think Ashton did get DRS. So I think Toddy will be looking for a move to move up into the top 5. On board, we got a yellow flag. That's the AI car. As thankfully all the guys avoid it, same as Kyo. As he's sitting in the middle of the track. Thankfully Mash and Josh avoid him. So a bit of chaos in this race. That's a big slide from Ashton. Toddy will take advantage up inside the top 5. And Kyo will now look to try and hunt down Ashton. It's only 3 laps older tyres, but I think, yeah, looking at those, I think Ashton's tyres are just starting to give up on him now. Problem is he's still got to try and get them home another, as I said, 4 laps at least, so he doesn't sort of burn out his mediums. All his Saucity's left the session. You've got Josh having another moment through 9. As he's sort of stopped. Alright, so what are these 2 doing? Playing silly buggers. Oh no, we're under VSC, sorry. I'm not even looking at the track map. VSC. So obviously that's why sort of they were slow. So virtual safety car. So do these guys make a pit stop? Fraser, I think, potentially missed it. Webbsy's coming in. Broadstar stays out. If you had another set of hards, I'd box. Problem is, I don't know if mediums will get home from here, even with the lower fuel load, but everyone's going to come in. So Mash stays out. So Webbsy in, Toddy in, Darkened Shadows in, Ashton in, Kyo in, and Junkyard in. Josh comes in as well. Broken Reptile stays out. Prosperic Bear's a little bit too far behind. So Kyo actually lost out to Toddy. Did Toddy get held? I think he may have, because I'm pretty sure he's ahead of Ashton. So Toddy's lost out big time due to that. So he starts, you'll have to get those 2 positions back. Still under VSC. As I said, Fraser can sort of make a green flag pit stop and still come out ahead of Webbsy. I think Webbsy fixed his front wing as Zilla picks up a drive-through penalty. It's sort of been a little bit of 0 to 0, unfortunately, as you've got Webbsy down the inside of Broken Reptile, but that's fresh mediums to old hards. So Webbsy back up inside the top 5. And did he fix that front wing? Yes, he did. So we'll see Webbsy. Fraser will be able to see his delta to Webbsy. As Zilla retires in pit lane. Yeah, that drive-through, unfortunately, just not his night. So we'll We'll go down to 15 drivers still in this race. As you got Broken Reptile losing a position to Ashton. So obviously the new guys on the mediums and the hards going to be really quick feeding through the guys that decided to stay out. So Fraser, as I said, probably got about 33 seconds. So probably got a couple of laps of a delta to stay out. Give him a bit of an offset in terms of the medium tyres that I imagine Fraser will go back onto. What is the gap actually? Back to Websy as he makes a move on Dark and Shadows. Easy move down the start finish straight. So Websy gets that position back. So you can see the gap, 34 seconds. And it's a bit of a longer pit stop around here. I'm guessing 27, 28 seconds is a bit of a guess. Might be a little bit too long, but so Fraser's got about 8 seconds that he can sort of play with before he has to come in. So I'd imagine we'll go another couple of laps and then chuck the set of medium tyres on. Broadstar running nicely in P2, but he's going to be massively undercut from all the guys around him that did make the pit stop. Obviously with both Saubers sort of around the same area, though one of them was going to double stack. Broadstar decided to stay out. Ashton came in as Broken Reptile loses a couple of positions to Kai and Toddy down to 9th. As you got Toddy versus Kai once again on board. So how are we doing for wing damage? As Websy picks up another 3-second time penalty. He's flying. Problem is, he keeps racking up pens. He's not going to be in the hunt as Mash picks up another 3-second penalty. I think he's up to 9. As we see Toddy and Kyo. Toddy should be an easy move with a bit of DRS. Gets past Kyo. So Toddy up into P7. And he'll try and chase down Ashton like he was before the BSC came out. We'll have a look. Last time by for Fraser was an 18.8. Websy did a 16.5. So it was about 2.3 seconds quicker the last lap for Websy. And you can see he's really eaten into the gap by Mash. And Dark and Shadows is going with him. Ashton still running nicely in P6. Toddy in 7th, Kyle in 8th, Broken Reptile in 9th. And you got Josh in P10. So penalties for everybody at home. Mash with 12 seconds now. Hasn't been able to keep it anywhere near the white lines. Websy with 6 and Josh, as I said before, with 3-second penalty. Everyone else is clean. So bit of a big difference compared to last game where everyone would have probably had a penalty by now. So easier to keep it on the track. I think the curbs are a little bit nicer as well, so that helps. So race leader 17.2 seconds out in front, but has to make a second pit stop, you'd imagine. Same as Broadstar. Websy, first of the drivers that have made their second stop. We had a safety car on lap 4, and then we've had a VSC on lap 16. So a lot of drivers have made their pit stops within those two windows. So Websy hasn't been able to drop Dark and Shadows, but they're both really closing into Mash. He's on 14 lap old hard compounded tyres. Mash is actually really struggling with his hards. I'm having a bit of a comparison between Mash, as we see Letter P jumping ahead of Junkyard. Letter P's had a couple of moments off track, a couple of spins, and that's really dropped him down. Plus he's had to serve a 10-second time penalty, so he has gotten that served. I think he'd love to be able to get a pit stop, get a safety car to be able to bring that back in as Ashton drops behind Kyatonic. So I'm not sure if Ashton had a bit of a mistake or not, but he's down to P8. Toddy up into P6. Toddy has dropped the Aston Martin behind, and he's about 5.6 seconds behind Darken and Websy. You can see Fraser's nearly got the pit stop ahead of Broadstar and Mash. Websy, again, would have been a hell of a lap. What did he last do? Websy was a 17.6. The two ahead of him did a 21.2 and a 20.0. As Josh has retired in pit lane. As Toddy picks up a 3-second time penalty now. So that's another car gone. We're down to 14. So, but it's in pit lane, so it will stay the exact same. Broken Reptile has come into the pits for the second time. So they'll be on a medium tyre. So a bit of an 5-lap offset. So we'll see if they can do anything with that. I think Fraser's going to try and do a big offset, or if he can sneakily catch a safety car or a VSC. But nearly 20-second lead. So we're having big leads in these races. So if we stay green, it'll be a big lead and a big win again. Websy is now just within a second of Mash, so it's going to be our next battle that we're going to be looking at. As Dark and Shadows really hustling the Williams along. Dark and Shadows got good speed. We know he took last season off, but it's good to have him back, and he's absolutely flying. Liking these new cars as Websy right on board with the Williams, I think. Because this is where we should see so much more grip coming out of Tosa. Does Mash even try and defend? No, he won't. So Websy will have the inside line, able to take the racing line through 9. And Dark and Shadows going to have to fight his way through. Mash runs wide. And that allows Dark and Shadows through. Mash down to P5. I don't know if he's going to try and get them to the end, but he's going to have some old tyres. Broadstar picks up his first penalty of the evening. So not only he's got a big undercut that he's going to suffer from the guys that he was racing with, he's now got a penalty. But so does Broadstar try and hang it out, or does he come in and make a stop? No, he's going to come and make a stop now onto a medium tyre. He'll have about 6 laps offset. Can he close back up to the guys that he was racing? Meanwhile, Dark and Shadows, he's been following Websy for the last 4 or 5 laps. Do we see an overtake now? But Websy and Dark and Shadows, they go back inside the top 3. Dark and Shadows sits behind. Where does Broadstar come out? It's a long pit lane, especially towards the exit. Ashton gets past his teammate. Broadstar should easily come out ahead of Big Chris. As Big Chris is 37 seconds behind before the pit stop. They'll close down to about 16, 15 seconds. Mash with the 3-second time penalty. He's up to 15 seconds. He's really struggling with the old tyres. Toddy is looking to get this move done potentially at the end of this lap. Should be flying through here. As Mash... yeah, his tyres are absolutely cooked. So Toddy's just got to be a little bit mindful not to sort of go a little bit too hot. Because Mash will not have any grip, any performance. Yeah, Toddy should do it as Fraser does come in. He can see the 28-second gap, so even if he comes out behind, he should easily have the better tyre wear. So there's going to be 2 battles that we're watching. Toddy easily, a lot better grip out of the final corner. It'll be side by side. Toddy will have the DRS. He'll be able to get through. But what about Fraser? He does come out with the 2.6 second lead. So he'll be able to get those tyres up to temp and easily start flying away down the field. Websy, I don't think he's going to have the grip and the performance to try and close that gap. As Mash already a second behind Toddy, and it's going to be Kyo that will look to claim that position from Mash. Mash, another big slide. He has no grip through the chicanes. That's where he's losing the most time. And again, Kyo, both having a moment, but Mash having a much bigger moment. Just a drive out of Tosa, and Kyo gets that job done up inside the top 5. And Mash is the only one that's just decided to hang on, trying to stay out. But if I'm reading that percentage right, I'll see if I can actually... It's his rear right. His rear right is about to puncture. That's how bad his wear is. So I'm very surprised that hasn't gone yet. I have a feeling most of everybody's tyres is the rear right, but that is a very high number from Mash. As you can just see, he's just got no performance, no grip whatsoever. Do we see Mash come in? No, he's going to go around again. No, he comes in. And he speeds in pit lane to boot. So I think he's up to about, 25 seconds worth of penalties. He's going to be quick at the end. But he has to be, because he's going to drop a lot of positions. I think thankfully for him, Big Chris is behind. Actually, no, he's not actually that far behind, so he's going to be in a little bit of trouble. Another person who's going to be in a little bit of trouble is Battle Cat, because he's got P and Junkyard right on his rear end. Letter P pulls out, and Letter P takes P10, and I have a feeling Junkyard will follow him through. And Battle Cat loses 2 spots down to 12th, but it's going to be a run to Mash. Mash comes out P12, but he's going to be on medium tyres and will try and fight his way back through. With 25 seconds worth of penalties. He'll get all those positions, but he'll lose them all once they cross the start-finish line. So, where are we looking battle-wise? Websy actually has lost out to Dark and Shadow, so Dark and Shadow's maybe a little bit better on the tyre wear, as Fraser picks up the fastest lap of the race at 16 flat. So, those new tyres, absolutely glorious on the Alpine. 9-second lead, and Fraser, you'd imagine, will just coast from here. Maybe just save the tyres just in case of a safety car. But I'm feeling if there's a safety car from here, it would not surprise me for a lot of guys coming off the softs, even if they are going to be dead after 3 laps. So Websy just sitting behind. We've got Toddy, Kyo, Broadstar, Ashton. So sort of the battle now is between 2nd and 3rd, and this battle from P9 down. So P, Junkyard, Mash, and the Battle Cat just trying to hang on, but you have a feeling it's going to be Mash. They'll be looking to get the moves done on board. Both McLarens have DRS on the letter P. Oh, I think Mash couldn't quite get his way through. He tried to go it, but unfortunately, he followed Junkyard a little bit. As we've got, Big Chris, he's had a moment at Tosa. Has a spin. Meanwhile, we see Websy gets past Dark and Shadows. I think Dark and Shadows has had a moment. So we're watching the battle for P10. Dark and Shadows, he'll get DRS, but must have just cut the chicane or just had a moment out of the chicane. Websy gets 2nd place back, but obviously Darken can make it there. Toddy, 2.4 seconds. What are the penalties looking like? Toddy's got 3. Websy's got 6. And the lead. So Kyo is actually within Websy's 6 seconds worth of penalties. So Kyo may find himself on the podium if he keeps his pace up. If he can. That'd be a tough ask. Potentially could. Lead 12 seconds as we see P and Chris. So Chris, after having that spin at Tosa, loses a position to the letter P. He's going to lose a position to Junkyard. No, he's not. Actually managed to hold it. Mash desperately trying to find his way through. Hasn't been able to pass his teammates still. He's got so much better tyres, just can't find his way through. And he runs wide. Surely that's another warning for Mash. Dark and Shadows, I think that little moment that he had, those tyres are sort of now a little bit off the cliff as he's just outside DRS as we ride on board with Mash down in 11th. And he goes wide again, he catches the spin, but more time loss. Obviously the dirty air as you got Websy and Dark and Shadows coming into the box. So what are they doing? Going to come in for some softs, I'd imagine. So that's sort of giving up 2nd and 3rd. 5 laps left to go, 6 laps left to go. Obviously, it's only a pre-season, so it doesn't really matter if you finish on the podium, but they're obviously going to see how the softs feel on low fuel around here. As Kyo picks up a 3-second penalty, obviously it won't matter now, being that the other guy's boxed and there's a 15-second gap back. As Ashton comes into the box, so maybe the guys couldn't make it on the medium tyres. Maybe they did actually have to come in and box. Not sure, but obviously Ashton boxing as well. Mash picks up Dark and Shadows picks up another penalty as well. We're just going to keep it on that for the time being because everyone's got 3-second penalties. Yeah, you're right, check it. I think Fraser, I think he's been lucky not to be taken out, but he's stamped his moves. When he's gone for moves, he's done it with authority. As Mash has had a moment through Tosa, hits the wall. As he's just got the loud pedal down. And and I'm hoping he's not trying to cause a crash in a safety car. Hopefully not for Mash. So I'm just going to keep an eye on this for the time being. There's no other battles except for P, who's in 7th. Come on, Mash. Get it back on track as he nearly takes out the race leader. Thankfully, Ghosting's on. But I think Fraser, he's done well. Obviously, Finn's his other username. I think we've spoken before. He loves Imola. He's done well here in the past, so it does not surprise me. So it's not only luck that even on the new game, loving the track. Just keeping an eye on this. So Mash, if you're gonna retire, can you just do it in pit lane, please? As he lets the other guys through. So able to just keep an eye on this because there's, except for the battle pack between Chris and Junkyard. Mash 10-second penalty, not surprised. Considering that he was pretty much off track since the chicane. 38 seconds worth of penalties. And I think those tyres are gone. He hasn't made... Oh, no, sorry. He did make a pit stop. Mash is now coming into pit lane. So we might see a retirement from Mash. 10 seconds speeding in pit lane and Mash is done. So we're down to 13th as you got the other McLaren in the wall. While I was looking at bloody Mash Junkyard out of the chicane. Big slide. He must have just maybe put his rear right on the gravel maybe. But forcing Junkyard loses a bunch of spots and drops down to P11. Battle Cat moves up inside the top 10. We've got 4 racing laps left. P in P7. Big gap in front. Websy with the 6 seconds, as you can see. 9.4 seconds behind Broadstar. Toddy's got a 5-second lead over Kaya. I think Kaya's tyres are just starting to drop off again. So it'll probably between Kaya and Broadstar. Junkyard comes into the pit lane as well. We're down to 12. So Junkyard was sort of having a decent race. Obviously that big moment has chucked him down the field and he's obviously retired. Yeah, Mash hasn't looked great, especially in the longer runs. He's got pace at times. Yeah, just whether, I don't know whether he's sort of doing anything with assists, like he's taken the last assist off, or just whether the handling or the setups just aren't sort of to his liking at the moment. But he's got good pace at points, but yeah, just the mistakes. And I think track limits has been from some of the races that I've called with him. Yeah, he's just that's sort of one of the bigger issues with him. So yeah, just unfortunately not having the best run at it. So hopefully Mash can find his form before we get the season proper underway. Meanwhile, we can see Fraser loving life out front. On 7-lap old medium tyres, made the offset work even without Websy and Dark and Shadows making the 3rd stop. So as we sort of quiet it down a little bit, Ashton's going to be the one fighting through the field on the new sets of sauce, so he should be able to get past Chris and potentially catch P, but with only a lap and a half left, I don't think he'll be able to do that. But on board, we'll see if he goes for a move on the Ferrari in front. He won't. And he goes off track. So he sort of ruined that, so he's definitely not going to get letter P. I don't know if he's even going to get bloody Chris if he does a few more moments on that. Ghosting might just be on just due to pre-season. It might have also just been that it was a setting accidentally left on, but obviously Ghosting won't be on in the season proper, but yeah, obviously left on only because it's pre-season. We had a couple of near misses that if it wasn't on, we might have actually had a couple of cars taken out, so pre-season, it's not too bad for Ghosting, but obviously that'll be off in season proper as we're nearly on the final lap as Ashton and Chris go side by side. There's contact as they were side by side, and Ashton just barges the Ferrari off into the gravel as Big Chris. Yeah, so we can state that fact that with the racing hasn't exactly been the cleanest this evening. So, yeah, a couple of guys might just want to have a bit of a look at the rule book, but clearly no one really knows how to give space tonight, which is unfortunate because we've had some good side-by-side action, yet other times people just cut each other off, and yeah, it hasn't exactly been great. So, really unfortunate for that. As we come onto our race leader, Broken Reptile picking up a 3-second penalty. So thank you guys for tuning in if you're still with us. Half a lap left to go. Fraser Clegg, otherwise known as Finns. No penalties. Loving life out front. He's done a great job. Toddy and Kai currently P2 and P3. They should hold on to those positions. Penalties wise, yeah, it's only 3 seconds. It's 3 seconds for second, third, and fourth. So those positions should stay the same. Websy and Dark and Shadows potentially could have still been second and third. But it's going to be Toddy and Kai, you'd imagine, if it keeps as is. But coming around turn 18, the little kink of turn 19, Fraser Clegg is your Imola pre-season race winner. Fantastic drive. Made the two-stop work. Got past Websy on the first restart. And then pretty much looked home and hosed from there. Fantastic drive. Consistency. No penalties. Toddy, bit of a slide out of 17. Fantastic effort. Thinking at one point that his pedals might have been stuffed. But he's come home. He's going to bring home a fantastic P2. And Kai Tonic, third day on the game. I don't think he was sure what he was going to expect, but fantastic drive. He finishes on the podium in P3. Broadstar, another great result from him, finishes in P4. Websy comes home to finish P5. Obviously, the third pit stop. They wouldn't have done that in a proper season, but P5 for Websy. Dark and Shadows in P6. Letter P, after a couple of troubles that he had early on, he'll come home to bring it P7 on 17 laps on those hard compounder tyres. Ashton did get past Chris in the end. He crosses the line in P8. Another good race for the Sauber TP. Looking good early on. Battlecat will bring it home in P9, just ahead of Big Chris. And then you had Broken Reptile and Prosperic Bear a lap down, finishing in P11 and P12. As I can feel my voice starting to go, we'll see who the game gives driver of the day. It's hard not to give it to Finns, to be fair, as he drove a faultless race. Fastest lap, 16 flat. Not even the guys on the soft compounder tyres could beat that. That's the pace Fraser has around here. He steps on the top step of the podium, joined by Toddy and Kai Tonic. As we load into the results, eventually. So, race winner was Fraser Clegg, otherwise known as Finns. He also picks up fastest lap. Toddy gets the game's driver of the day, as well as gets the most overtakes. Cleanest driver was Prosperic Bear. The game has decided. As we have a look at our provisional results, Fraser from P2 on the grid gets the race win. Toddy from 9th, well-deserved driver of the day in P2. Kai ready out a podium in P3. Broadstar in 4th, Websy in 5th, Dark and Shadows, Letter P, Ashton, Battlecat, Big Chris here, your top 10, and then Broken Reptile and Prosperic Fair finished a lap down in P11 and 12, and then all your DNFs, Junkyard Doggy, Mash, Jane Van Gisbergen or Josh, Zilla in the Aston, Saucity, Yusuf, Broseph, and Sevi was our one retirement on track that caused our first safety car on lap 4. So, as we head back to the filler screen, might have a chat if these guys want to have a bit of a chat with me to get their thoughts on today's race. And I'll get the top 3 graphic up as well, if I can do it. But yeah, it was a nice race. Obviously, good battles, especially earlier on. Obviously, fed out a little bit towards the end, so it got a little bit quiet, but otherwise it was not a bad battle. Toddy and I think it was Kai was the Aston, if I'm not mistaken, as well. So I'll get his name in there. So wait for the boys potentially to join us in the comms box. But yeah, Finn's fantastic drive from him. So there are your top three. So who we at? We got Toddy, we got Tonic, and we got Vince. They want to have a bit of a chat with us. Link. But yeah, nice race that we saw. As I said, Finn's dominant, really. So not much else you can say. Kaya and Toddy. Surprisingly, when we saw them on track, we thought maybe potentially a few shenanigans, but thankfully the boys kept it very clean. And I think they were the two of the cleaner drivers on track, actually. So shout out to them. So we'll just wait, give it a couple more minutes before to see if they'll join. No, 6 o'clock on the eastern states, so might be a bit of dinner time as well for them. But yeah, 27-second lead, 27-second win from Finns as well. So it was bloody fantastic. As speaking of the man, we've got him in the comms box right now. Finns. I think I spoke to you at the end of last season. You love Imola, and that was domination from yourself this evening. Well done.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about this game. I like it a bit more. I like this track. I'm pretty good. I'd say my strongest point about this game is I'm really good at taking care of my tyres, making them last long, and in doing so it just makes me a lot faster. It means I can go longer, in which I did. They put under the VSC. I knew they weren't going to be able to do 16 laps on their mediums, so I just kept going. And when I did pit at the end, they were only 2 and a bit seconds behind, but I knew without crazy tyre saving they weren't going to make it to the end, so I just went flat out, got the fastest lap, and was pulling 2.5, 3 seconds a lap on them until they had to pit, because yeah, you can't go that far on mediums anymore. Can't go that far on any tyre anymore because of the time model, but I don't disagree with it, because yeah, I've always been, or I'd say my strongest point has always been saving tyres, so this game just works well for me. So yeah, had good pace, looked up, and yeah, suddenly I've got 15, 20-second lead, and by the end I think it was 24 seconds or something, so awesome. It's a good sign for the season, it's a good sign for this game, so yeah, if I can keep up this pace, that would be really good, because I've never been on top of Websy or Yusuf or some of the other drivers we've raced against, and last week in Austria I felt a bit hard done by the safety car mid-race. Sort of cost me a bit after I'd had all that wet pace where I was just pulling away from Websy and Yusuf about a second a lap. But yeah, Campbell, of course, on another level, as he always is. But yeah, I can only hope that Campbell misses a few races, and maybe I might be closer to the top this season, because so far in the pre-season it's been looking pretty good. So yeah, thank you.
No, as I said, you sort of answered all my questions there. So just overall, obviously, tyre model, we know we've seen in a few of these races that a couple of the guys that are quick, but they've just struggled with the tyre wear, especially at the end of the stint. You've obviously looked very nicely, comparing your tyre wear to a couple of others. You were really doing a nice job there. What about a lot of the other tracks? The tracks sort of suit you more on this game with the way that with some of the changes that they have made. Is this game just sort of suited for you a little bit more than obviously what 24 was?
Definitely. Well, the cars drive more normally, a lot more like F1 23, which is where I had a lot more pace. I just sort of lost a bit on the fast guys last game. I just didn't quite have the raw outright pace. But yeah, on this game I seem a lot better. I'm a lot better in quality on this game, but still not top pace. But yeah, if I can keep doing what I'm doing in the races and saving the tyres and just being consistent, then it might just work even if I'm qualifying mid top 10, somewhere in 5th, 6th, 7th. Even if I can consistently qualify there, I'm setting myself up with a good base, which is a lot better than I was doing last season, where I was only qualifying in the top 10 one out of 4 times, despite being one of the fastest in the race, not the fastest, but close to the leader's pace in the race. Just my bad qualifyings where I'd be 15th or just couldn't put a lap together because I don't know what it is. I just suck in quali. But yeah, it's a bit better on this game, so hopefully that can continue. And yeah, I'll keep saving my tyres for the rest of this game because it works.
Yeah, will definitely be a big advantage if you can manage to sort of do that throughout the season. But congratulations on tonight. Hopefully we see you in a couple more pre-season races, but good luck for the draft in the upcoming weeks. I reckon you'll be a high pick in Tier 1, and good luck for the season ahead.
Thank you very much.
All right, congratulations to Finn's P1, P2, Toddy, from a man that probably didn't even think he was going to race this race about 3-4 hours ago to a podium. We know that Websy and Dark and Shadows obviously made that third stop, but brilliant race from yourself tonight, Toddy.
I mean, yeah, you're right. I didn't expect I was going to race today. No, felt pretty good. I had damage for like more than half the race, so that was interesting. But no, felt good. Built into the hards. Did the last stint, and besides Finn's, I felt I was pretty quick.
Yeah, you're catching Webs in Dark and Shadows before they made their third pit stop. How are you feeling on this game? I don't think I've spoken to you about that before. Yet it seems like you've got a bit of pace on this game as well, sort of technical issues aside.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you've just pointed perfectly there with that technical issues. I think I'm feeling a lot better this game. I finally decided to turn off traction control, so that's probably helping a bit. I was definitely feeling it at the end there with the worn tires, but no, I reckon I'm better at this game than I was last year, but I'm not the only one, so we'll see what happens when the real season starts.
Yeah, a lot of improvement. Draft-wise, how are you feeling? I'm assuming you're going to be in probably the Tier 2 pot, Tier 1, 2 pot again. Sort of how you looking forward to the season ahead?
Well, if last season's anything to go off, I think I know who I'm getting picked by. If I do. No, feeling good. I'm just hopefully, I'm a bit more competitive this season than I was last year. It was quite frustrating, but I'm looking forward to the draft.
No, it should be a good night, and looking forward to see how you do. Obviously, I've seen a couple of your races. You've been really quick at some points as well. So another great race from you tonight, and good luck with the rest of the preseason races, and good luck with the draft as well, Toddy.
Yeah, cheers.
As we'll quickly switch over to our third place getter, Kytonic. Day 3 on the game for you, but good pace from yourself. Not sure if you had a little bit of tyre wear issues at the end, sort of at the back of your stints, but with only 3 days into the game, you're still probably getting used to it, but great speed from yourself nonetheless.
Cheers. It's the first race where I've had to deal with tyre wear, so mainly doing 5 lappers, and so I kind of had to figure that one out on the fly.
But pace definitely looked good. How did your race go? You were sort of stuck with Toddy for the most part, and not to sort of really get into sort of what happened here into his last season, but respectable between you two, but good battle that you had, and you two were sort of carving your way through the field at one point.
Yeah, I mean, Toddy's a fast driver on his day, so You just got to pick your battles, and realistically, I needed to learn the game, as you said, and so I wasn't going to do anything silly, knowing that I didn't know what the outcome could be. But no, as you said, just pick your battle. As I said, pick your battles and make your passes where they count.
Yeah, so what's the plan going forward? Obviously, a couple more weeks at least for here at Inters for pre-season racings. Goal just trying to get as much sort of track time as you can, especially with the longer distance races, and obviously see how you go for the draft.
Yeah, I don't know what tier I'll be in, but hopefully, when I get back, I can put the pedal to the metal and put down some good results for whatever team I'm in.
Yeah, looking forward to see how you do. Obviously, you were definitely quick at the end of the last game, and as I said, I think more time for yourself in this one. You'll be going to be right up there. But Kai, congratulations, P3, and good luck on any more pre-season races you do, and obviously the draft in the upcoming week.
Cheers, thanks.
As that will do us for tonight's pre-season race. As you can see on screen, Finns, Toddy, and Kai Tonic were your top three. As we check out the calendar for the rest of this week, we've got Singapore rounding out our week 2 preseason tomorrow afternoon, 5 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. So I think we've got nearly a full grid for that one as well. So it should be a good one. Another street circuit, challenging for the guys, and obviously Tileware coming into play in a lot of these tracks. So should be another good one. And then week 3. Silverstone Reverse, Monaco, Hungary, and then the driver sign-ups close, a reminder, on the 29th of June. So if you haven't signed up yet, get them in. And on that same date, we'll know the lottery and what the TPs have in terms of their picks for each individual tier. So big week next Sunday night. And then obviously the all-important draft happening on the 6th of July at I believe 5 o'clock, if I'm not mistaken. We'll get that. I'll have a look at that information and obviously confirm it. And then obviously round 1 starts on Friday, the 11th of July, on Friday night. So it should be a good season 9. Looking at a couple of these races so far, it's been great wheel-to-wheel action. Strategy is going to be a bigger importance on this game. And those that can manage the tyre wear should be in the box seat for some good results. But again, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon for Imola action. We'll join you tomorrow afternoon, 5 p.m. for the Singapore pre-season race. I've been Scotty. Thank you very much for your company, and we'll see you tomorrow afternoon.